Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, back with you for Miss Marvel, Episode 2, titled Crushed. Now, I'm going to give you my instant take. Okay, this episode was different, and by different, I'm going to be honest, it's not much action, right? But a lot of emotion and setup, and it did have its actiony moments. I'm not disappointed. It's just kind of a tonal shift from the first episode, which you could tell they put every ounce of energy into sell you on the show. I like the background art and the pop art and stuff in the first one. They might have done a little of that here, but definitely not as much. I still love the show, and it's still colorful, it's human, and it's real. So the fact that it was character focused, really, and intentionally, because it's a 6-episode series, for the most part, we got a lot of character work. And see the dynamics of her relationship with her mom, her friendship, how she's dealing with just simply having powers. One of my favorite parts of the episode is her training montage. I love the awkwardness of it. I love the rooftops. I like how she's training on rooftops. It reminds me a lot of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, his first movie where he's learning his powers. So I wonder if there was some homage in that. I mean, it's a superhero training on rooftops in New York. Superheroes are always training on rooftops in New York, I guess. But I thought the way this one was shot, it had the same kind of fun energy, and that homemade superhero energy we're talking about. It's still alive and well. It's a good feeling. So, I open up, I'll be honest, on the show. This show came out, as I said, when I was going through a bit of a rough patch in my own personal life, right? Well, it's not to say I didn't try watching this show. And when I did, and be in such a frame of mind, a negative frame of mind, but also a narrow one, I watched up to the point where Kamran showed up on screen. I just remember this because the animation of the hearts and all the googly eyes from Kamala, I didn't give it 1 second before I paused it back then and was like, this is a kid's show, and if it's not, it's a girl's show. My mind wasn't where it is right now back then at all. And then I watched it a year later and really enjoyed it. But the podcast was also on hold. You're if you're entering now, it's your first few episodes listening to me. This is my golden age. I'm not stopping. I'm making 2 a week now. So I feel like I'm making it up to past self who missed all this. But that being said, just because a girl show introduces a crush for the main character doesn't mean it's not a show for everyone. How many shows do girls watch, especially if the girls are watching superhero shows, which I know a lot of girls actually do. Why don't they get what we get as men in every single instance? I'm not arguing against anyone or anything but past me, and opening up why maybe I avoided this show as it came out, and maybe it mixed in with the frustration of I can't do my podcast right now at that time and having trouble conveying that. So I'm being honest. This show, though, I know what some of the things it does in this episode sets up later episodes, and when I was watching it last time, I didn't even realize it, and that's what I'm really liking it. Still, the show is a heck of a lot of fun, and the character of Kamala, she's perfect. And I remember some point through this episode, I was like, is she going to be in Infinity War? Where did this scene take place? And what saga are we in right now? She fits in very well with the narrative is what I'm saying. And I saw the Marvels once in theaters, and I will say this, it's so much to see and know a character that well. We pretty much get three movies lengths of Kamala's life in the show before we get to see the Marvels, where without realizing it, she's got the most screen time out of anyone when we get there. But we still have a little bit of a ride until we do. Every teen show needs this dangerously charming love interest, Kamran. I forgot how he says it in the show, but there's a lot to Kamran, and we do talk about him quite a bit throughout the show. There's definitely more to him, and it's going to blow the whole plot open, and back. Bruno feeling sidelined in that moment where it is like a Peter Parker friend zone type bestie energy he's getting from Kamala, but you can't turn down a ride from Kamran in his new whip. So basically, Bruno was like helping best friend status. Bruno, he's a best friend. He's her best. He's like her best friend, and trust me, as a guy, I know being friend zoned, it's not fun. But if you could find a common interest with someone and you like them, you know what I mean? This is for all you young folks out there. Share some wisdom. You know, it doesn't mean you have to stop having them in your life. You can be friends with girls without needing to date them or hook up with them. I just remember when I was a kid that was kind of a tough thing to process. Our guy Bruno, you know, friend zone, sideline Bruno, he actually gets called into this counselor's office. This counselor is very, very charismatic, and I think he's only in like these 2 episodes. Whenever he's on screen, he steals the show. He's hilarious. And he's actually delivering really good news to Bruno that he got a full like job, or not like a job, like an internship, I guess, at the Caltech. And it's just something he's not sure he wants to do leaving home. He'd have to go to California. And leaving home means leaving his friend Kamala, who I think he has a crush on. You know, it's funny because you don't want to jump to conclusions, but it definitely seems that way. So you can only call it how you see it. There's this mosque and community scenes. I think it's fantastic, actually. You know, we don't have many, if any, Muslim superheroes seeing the day in and day out of the Muslim community, and honestly see it be the norm for Kamala and introducing us a little bit to that life and that religion. I think that's really sweet. I think that's really progressive. I like that. And there is this thing going on with the Department of Damage Control, and this is at the end of every freaking episode. This is the second one, and they're really trying to figure things out about Kamala. Zoe was totally milking her party moment because I understand. I get this type of girl. She didn't mean any harm, but she didn't realize she was being like hard interrogated. But the thing is, they didn't just ask questions this episode. They followed Kamala Khan off the rooftops where she was saving this kid from falling. The kid was falling. She saved his life. So damage control, I don't think they're being very ethical. I like the idea of damage control, but like they've never played like an protagonist part in a movie. Like I understand in Spider-Man Homecoming, I believe that's when they were actually introduced. And it was Tony Stark who made them, so this made the Vulture really mad. Kind of turned him into the Vulture. And Damage Control doesn't like... You don't really like them for what they're doing to the Vulture. Like, he's definitely a genuine guy when the movie starts. And, yeah, he's pissed off. He punches a guy. It's a great movie. Spider-Man Homecoming, I love that. We talked about it. You should go listen to our episode on it. Yeah, with the damage control in this show, we come to see that they are definitely not... I don't know if it's like ethical is the right words, or they don't degaff, they don't give up. And, you know, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it as the series goes on. Episodes like this make the show feel like 10 episodes instead of 2. I'm not saying it's my favorite thing either. I would have liked maybe a tighter 45-minute, cut out 5 more minutes of this episode. But it is what it is. It wasn't a bad episode by any means. It was about who Kamala is and not just what she can do, which in the movies, we really only get to see what they can do. There's always great character moments in the Marvel movies, though. We're learning what matters to her, which is very simple but relatable values. Family, friendship, faith, and identity. And that's the emotional spine of the show. We learn. And that's why I love this show right now. I love the characters. The dad, he's a scene stealer for me too. I think he is so funny. He's genuine. The actor, I need to go IMDb that man's name. I'm sure he's probably in other things making just as great an impact. But character moments are powerful in this episode. So I think if you're seeing this for the first time, you might be a little bored, but you're not going week to week. You can like skip ahead and watch the next one. Come back to me next week. Maybe you binge the whole show, but you'll be feeling a little bit better about it. We're learning what matters to Kamala Khan, and her world outside of being a superhero, and the beginning of those worlds starting to collide already. There's a lot of setup vibes. The portal that opens up when she's trying to save that kid at the end. There's some funny moments. Like this, we got to talk about the kid who's talking about to calm him down. He tells her he likes putting ice cream on pizza, and she's like, "Oh, like frozen pizza?" And he's like, "No, I just like putting ice cream on the pizza. It's really." That was a funny line. That was a lighthearted moment in a serious moment. So I really like that. I think the setup in this episode is actually probably going to make a big difference in the long run. I know that for a fact. Extra is just layering the story intentionally. So in packs on the MCU and predictions, Kamran clearly knows more than he's telling. Is he connected to Miss Marvel's powers at all? And the Department of Damage Control might be more important than we thought post No Way Home. Where did Kamala's vision come from? And why did it look exactly like the lady who's supposedly Kamran's mom? And she was coming out of a portal, like, very magical moment. We learned this, a little bit of mystery. We're definitely going to learn more about this. Do we think this is a mutant origin or a retelling of something bigger? For Kamala, it's hard for me to say when I've seen the show. It's almost like, put on your best, I don't know what you're talking about face. I'm just going to go with that. Like I said, it's not a huge spoiler because if you haven't seen it yet, you're probably not the biggest fan. But when they cross over Kamala Khan's dad into Daredevil, this just gives that moment even more meaning if you haven't seen it yet. And getting to know Kamala's dad outside of that, it's kind of cool. I like crossovers. This show, it was kind of in the middle of all the craziness of all the shows being released in 2022. And I don't think it was overlooked, but by me it was. And, I think that it aged better than, in my opinion, for me, than I was taking it. But like I said, I was going through a crazy time at that time. So the very beginning, I don't know what people were even initially thinking about the show. All I know is what I see reactions online to is that Kamala Khan, this girl who plays her, she's very, very good at the role, and she's very likable. So I am really happy for her, and I know her name. I don't know why I'm fumbling it, but I want to say it raw and in the moment as long as possible. I've been working on my guys, but when I listen back, I hear a lot more than I remember saying. So we're working on that. I say it ironically, and I will start saying it in a second without realizing it the minute we change topics. See, that was it. That was a genuine one. That was a genuine immediately. See, when I let go on autopilot, I say way more, and I gotta admit it. I gotta try harder. I am still so on board with this show. In our closing thoughts here, I don't even mind if it's a little slowed down for this episode because it's doing real work under the surface. This is what you really actually want in your superhero story, if you're asking me. If you're watching with me, thank you. We are in this together, and I'm excited to see what next week brings. Even though I've seen the show, boy golly Gene, I don't remember it that well. By the way, if you want even more MCU thoughts, our brand new Patreon minisodes are dropping every Saturday from this point on at 10 a.m. You will have access to all of them once you become a member, and we have multiple tiers just starting at $3 a month. And I gotta say, I'm putting a lot more love and excitement into these little episodes. I got a lot of ideas for them, and I'm so excited about the Patreon. I want to thank our longest Patreon, even from the first life of this show. This show has 3 lives, and I really don't want to give up on this one. And I want to say a special thank you to our first returning and all-time Patreon member, Michael Finney. He should have gotten so much credit. He stuck with me, supporting my Patreon, even when I was out of making episodes and in my own needed treated to be treated world. Thank you for supporting us and supporting me and believing in me, Michael. And if you hate being shouted out and spotted, getting the spotlight shine on you, I'm sorry. Everybody look away. You're a fantastic person. And I can't promise I'm going to give you a speech if you join the Patreon, but if any tiny bit of support going towards the show helps keep the show going. So patreon.com/MarvelManiac. We have a tip jar in our about section too, but you also get something that Michael was the first to get. You're going to be put on our wall of heroes. Soon that might move to a personal website, but right now, if you join the Patreon, you will be put in any tier into our Hall of Heroes, and it will be in our podcast description. So we'll see you then for our future minisodes coming out weekly Saturday, 10 a.m. Central. And so that's it. I guess that's all Miss Marvel for today. A filler, but a solid one. Training montage. Hero actually saving the day. She kind of messes it up and drops him because she has a vision of Kamran's mom in another dimension. And we're going to find out all about that next week on Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. This Friday, still a little bit up in the air for me on what I'm going to be covering for you guys, but I will let you know this. It's going to be a good one. And until next time, Avengers, disassemble.